All right, let's get this done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Welcome to another fine day here at Sisseton, Wahpeton College. This is a continuation of a discussion that we have about the Chumash Indians, which you can see here. This wonderful book by Bill Lund, and also a book here from my old classmate, University of California at Santa Barbara, UCSB, University of Children and Spoiled Brats, Monique Sonoque. And as I promised, I was going to spend a little bit of time messing with Chumash. Because as you know, old man Singingeagle spent a considerable amount of his youth hanging out with these folks. Matter of fact, I think I know that guy. Some of this is going to be a little bit repetitious, because I know I've made multiple videos about this before, and things kind of bleed over, and you know how when you get old, everything all starts to go in circles, and you start to repeat yourself over and over. I remember back in the day. Never mind, I'm not going to do that right now. We have things to talk about. All right, so what do I need to tell you? Oh, you know what? Before we even get started, I do have some announcements. Let's go through the... Let's have a look real quick. As you know, we're coming up on spring break, and also AHEC, AIHEC, which stands for, what does it stand for? American Indian Higher Education Consortium. And your beloved Professor Victor Singingeagle is the driver. I'm the only one around here with a CDL, so I've got to drive the school bus, or I should say our college shuttle, with a bunch of college kids out to Bismarck, North Dakota. So yeah, there's going to be some more slowing down of this course for that very reason. What else? This is something that you guys need to know about. It says here, enter to win this blanket. Check your emails, please. About this, dear TCJ friend and supporter. You just have to answer a survey. I want to bet you can click on it there, and it'll probably open up. It takes about 5 minutes. You got to hurry up by March 20th. And you could win a Pendleton blanket. Oh, I can't make it bigger. But that's a pretty cool blanket. We got some buffalo going on around there. And as you know, even though Pendleton blankets are not native, or how should I say it? The company is not a native company, but we, for some reason, we love these things, and we make jackets out of them. We use them, and we covet them, we collect them, and each one is like $250 a piece. Never mind, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's get to the subject at hand, shall we? I'm going to harass you about the Chumash Indians. I believe I also am supposed to bother you with this poem called Why We F Up. Let me double check. Let's go up here. This poem, which is posted on eLearning, should be up here somewhere. Nope, maybe it's down. I really need to reorganize this. So here's some Chumash stuff. That was right before the midterm. There's the Why We F Up poem. I might have actually posted a video of myself reading it. There it is right there. Yes, it is. There's the Why We F Up poem. I mean, you can click on it, you can read it. Here's, this is not racist, blah, blah, blah. So have a look at that at your leisure. Also, look at the poem called The Pow-Wow, which I believe is up here. Or is it down? I'm starting to get all messed up. It's probably down. There it is right there. The Pow-Wow. You click on it and download the poem. I believe it is written by a fella named Riles Nelson Salsipuedes. Let's open it in a new tab. There it is right there. So yeah, I even have a couple of videos of myself reading this and explaining it, so I don't need to harass you too much, but I do need to give you a little bit of background about the people, the Chumash themselves. Who are they? Well, as I said before, I might have already made a video explaining these guys, but it does bear repeating in that this is a really interesting and fascinating phenomenon that's going on here. We have the state of California, which you all know and love. And this is the Southern California. I think LA is down here. And this area here is called Santa Barbara. Well, this whole area is bigger than, let's blow it up. LA is going to be down there. There's the Los Angeles River. But this is the traditional Chumash territory, or Chumash land, as we call it. They call it. Stretched all the way from San Luis Obispo. This is a considerable amount of driving, by the way. About, I want to say 3 hours. From all the way up there, down through Santa Barbara. This is UC Santa Barbara's like right here somewheres, or maybe up there. And then all the way down to there, which is pretty much near right on the San Fernando Valley border. And I'm going to stand up here and start spinning my wheels. According to legend of the Chumash themselves, because they call themselves the people of the dolphin, or the dolphin people, they started off on these little bitty islands. The creator put them there. I believe their creator is a woman whose name I do not remember. Let me see if it's in this book. Animal people. A spirit named Toho Iku. Yes. And in collaboration with a creator woman, they put the people here. But I think it might have been the smaller island. And they started to expand, and they expanded and moved to some, they had more and more people. Anacapa Island, Santa Cruz Island, Santa Rosa, that's what the newcomers call it. But the people were pretty much expanding to all the islands, and pretty soon, I'm tripping over my tongue, I apologize. Their numbers got too big, and they wanted to move to the mainland. They didn't have a way, because it was early caveman days, I guess. I don't know what the right term is right now, and I'm tired. So the creator, or actually the creator, one of the female creator, created a rainbow bridge to let all the people cross from the islands and move to the mainland. This is a short version. And she told them, whatever you do as you're crossing over this bridge, do not look down. And of course, as you know, as hard-headed as human beings are, some of them looked down and they fell off the rainbow and into the Santa Barbara Channel. And rather than let her children drown, she felt sorry for them as they were starting to drown, and she transformed them into dolphins. And this is why the Santa Ynez, the Chumash people, consider the dolphins to be their brothers and sisters. That's a short version. There's a whole bunch of longer versions of that, but I'm just trying to get you to this quickly. If you know anything about California, you have these big, tall pine trees. They're very numerous all over Southern California, and the natives, the Chumash people, used to take the dried palm frond and make these wonderful thatched houses with them. And they had villages all over, and they also made clothing. This is a really old picture. They had the palm frond. They made grass skirts, and they weaved baskets. Here's another wonderful grass skirt. And they also had lots of shells, almost like Hawaiians in some respect. And what else did they do? The beach, right, the beach around Santa Barbara area here has naturally bubbling up in this channel of oil, and it turns into tar. It mixes with the salt water and turns to this weird goopy tar stuff. And back when some crazy Indian was going to UCSB, he thought that it was because of the oil drilling rigs that were doing it. But actually, this is natural. It just comes up bloop, out of the ground, turns into tar, and if you're walking around on the beach, you get it all over your feet. Well, the Chumash Indians, new to the land, they say, hey, what is this cool sticky stuff? And they realized that they could use it to waterproof their canoes. And so that's what they did. They became great seafaring people. I forgot what they called the canoe, tohol or topol or something like that in the language. They also became great basket weavers. You got to keep in mind that back in the day, California was a hopping place. I know that a lot of the non-native, oh, you Indians were losers. You ate nuts and seeds and California Indians, and you ate beetles and grubs and stuff. No, they didn't. These guys were living high on the hog. These are acorns, by the way. So they go up to an acorn tree and just bash it. They didn't really hit it hard, just shake it or something. Acorns just fall out of the tree. They take the acorns, and there's a special way to prepare them because you can't eat them raw. You've got to mush them, and leach out all the tannic acids and do it multiple times. Otherwise, you'll end up poisoning yourself. But Chumash make really, really good acorn stew. And they also, like I said before, they made these awesome baskets that look at the beautiful art. I mean, that is some serious artwork going on. And they use some of the tar also to waterproof their baskets. They can actually carry water in these baskets, like these kind. What else? What else? Oh, and they created these beautiful, this is painted cave. Um, some crazy Indian used to go there all the time when he was an undergraduate. And as he's going up here and he's seeing that some people have been carving their initials, these are non-natives, into and defacing this ancient art. So they had to put a big metal gate all around it to keep people from getting to it and messing with it and stealing pieces of it. But there are all over Southern California, more and more people are discovering caves or cave paintings, and some on private property. And each one of the little figures, oops, I didn't want to do that. Cancel, stop it. I'm trying to do it this way. There we go. These are stories. Every single one of those little figures, what we might call a symbol, whatever, pictograph, represents a story, which is one reason why I'm throwing this at you. Now, as you know, the newcomers came along. You may not know that the first folks that started really messing with the Chumash were the Spaniards. And the Spaniards came up from Mexico. In Mexico, they created something called El Camino Real, or the King's Road. And each one of these, they created a mission. And a mission is pretty much a church slash compound where they were charging themselves with Christianizing and missionizing the local Indian populace. But what they really did was they were turning these Indians into slaves, and they would stick them in chains, tie them up, and drag them off to the mission and try to turn them into indentured servants and farmers and maids and all that. Anyway, I, I'm getting off on a tangent because it's really, really serious stuff. If you go to these missions, you'll understand. As natives, when we go to these missions, we look and we're just dumbfounded. You don't even have to know the stories. You can feel the sadness. Oh boy, I could just go crazy. But here's the Santa Barbara mission. There is a Santa Ynez mission, San Buenaventura. So all the way from San Buenaventura to San Luis Obispo, de Tolosa. So from here to here, all of those missions were actually the Spaniards created these days march, because what they would do is they'd march with their crosses and their altar boys and their priests and also soldiers, and they would try to convert Indians. And if they refused to convert, they would shoot them and grab whoever is left and put them in chains. Stop it! This is the Santa Barbara mission. And if you know anything about that poem I showed you before, there's walls around the mission, and in the walls there are Indian bones, Chumash Indian bones to be particular. Well, here is how they used to, this is a depiction, a Spaniard depiction of these missionaries tying up the Indians and whipping them, as you can see here. I wish I could read this weird scrawl, Spanish scrawl, but I can't. Something about cosa mien. I can't. Cualqueria. Never mind. So they were whipping the captives, and they wanted to, shear their hair off and turn them into these wonderful little mission babies. Well, this had happened over and over again, and in 1824, the Chumash Indians revolted. There's a nice drawing of their revolt where they were, how do I say, the Franciscan missionaries, they kind of beat them up, killed a couple of soldiers. But of course, as you know, the soldiers regrouped, captured a whole bunch of Indians and killed a whole bunch of Indians, burned their villages. I could go on and on, but this is the same old story heard over and over again. I think one reason I'm tripping over my tongue is because I haven't eaten all day and I bit my tongue, but we don't need to go there. Let's stay focused. So, that's 1824. They hanged a bunch of the leaders, of course, and brought them all back in chains to the Santa Barbara mission, and pretty much knocked their numbers down to like the last remaining 54 Indians, and thought the Indians were all going to die off. This is the Chumash Reservation. See that little black spot there? This used to be the original reservation, because there were only like 54 people left, 54, and then they regrouped and found some old natives who had run off into the mountains, and so if these guys are coastal Chumash, and the ones that ran away and got away from the Spaniards, they moved inland to the San Joaquin Valley and maybe joined some other Indian tribes. But then when, I guess we can say, the all clear, they came back and everybody moved to this little teeny tiny reservation, which used to be this big. And as their numbers expanded, the government got them some land, or they bought some of their land, and other people started donating land, and it got this big, as you can see here, this kind of orangish color. And the crazy old Indian, who was actually Potawatomi, still remembers this. As an undergraduate in the 1980s at UC Santa Barbara, this little bitty reservation, and how dirt poor. Gotta explain this as quickly as can, because this town is not much bigger than the town of Sisseton. You can see the surface streets here. And all around here, these are hills kind of higher than the city, than the reservation, because this is a ditch, a dry gulch. And whenever it would rain heavy, all the gushy, dirty water would go flood through the Chumash reservation. So this is land nobody wanted. And up, these are hills all around here. So all the rich non-natives, I'm trying to avoid to use the word Chmokmanuk or Washichu, but, well, that's what it is. All these rich snobs living up in the hills looking down on the Chumash Indians. And the Chumash Indians realized, well, check it out. Here's Highway 246 here. There's Highway 154 here. Let's build a bingo hall. What the heck? We always see all these tour buses coming through. And so that's what they did. They built a bingo hall on their res, and pretty soon, all these old mutton heads, my dad calls gray-haired old people, they'd stop. Oh, look at how quaint! Look at all the cute little brown people, and oh, they got a bingo hall. Let's go play bingo, and they go and play, and more and more money started rolling in, and they converted their bingo hall to a small casino. This is around the time of the Indian Gaming Rights Act, which I think it's called the Indian Gaming Act or the Indian Gaming Rights Act, something like that. Don't remember the year, and I'm too lazy to look it up, and I want to get out of here and go have something to eat. Anyway, the casino got bigger and bigger and bigger until it turned into that. Look it up sometime. I might even show you some photographs in a second. But right now, I got to go back to this and explain what is Camp 4. There was a famous Western, I don't know what you call them. They make cowboy Western movies or something. Guy named Fess Parker, when he passed away, he willed his land, because you got to remember, this is Refugio Road. Down this road, Ronald Reagan's ranch is here. It's big. And Fess Parker's ranch is here. And then there's also a place called Saca Lake over here somewhere. All of this was sacred land to the Chumash people. But, it got taken away. And when Fess Parker passed away, he said, I'm going to donate this land back to the tribe. See? And all the rich people here got PO'd. They were mad. How can the Indians are doing a land? They called it a land grab. Can you imagine that? The Indians are they're taking over the land. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. They're getting rich. This all used to be really dry and nasty. I couldn't say nasty, but it was dry. And the dirty water would go gushing through there. I still remember that. This is before that casino was built. This was all nothing but trailer houses and old beat up shacks. So now the Chumash have money and they're doing cultural revitalization. Nowadays they use a lot of red tail hawk feathers, and instead of drums they have elderberry clap sticks. Usually there's only one of them, but I think in modern times they started using two of them like this. In the old days they take one and they cut a slit down it and they still remember a song. Two of them. One of them went like this, and apologize because I don't have any elderberry clap sticks, so I'm going to use these. All right, here we go. One of them was like this. Hey, 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 go what? 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 Ayungoa, Ayungoa. And there was a sweat lodge over here. Never mind. I'm starting to get all, what's the word, nostalgic on you, and I don't want to do that because I already spoke for 23 minutes. And I think some of them were like you use two sticks, but some of the other ones, like I said, were a clapstick kind. And these are the dolphin dancers here. Here's some little kids. She's got one of the single ones. He's got a single one. You can see the slit cut right there. And then he's got the other old style ones. There's another one. It goes, Hename, 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 Chichayo, Hename, 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 Chichayo, Hena, 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 Hayo, Hename, 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 Chichayo, Hename, 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 Chichayo, Hena, 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 Hayo, Hename, 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 Chichayo. I can keep going, but I'm starting to mess up. Here's some Chumash kids. One reason why this crazy old Indian man is telling you all this stuff is because these songs even have stories. And he used to work on the Chumash res with the Chumash kids, and we would learn these songs, and it was really cool. And Oh man, I could stand up here and tell you stories. But the main thing is, I'm going to go back to this. It says here, Chumash, Southern California coastal tribe. They were hunted and missionized by the non-natives. They had a teeny tiny reservation. They lived in poverty they didn't even have running water, no electricity. Meanwhile, all the rich people did. Um, like I said before, there's a thing about they built a casino hall or a bingo hall. Then at the casino, they got richer and richer. And the article that I posted has a challenge question, which says they got richer at what cost? So that's probably right before the midterm, if I remember right, where we talk about small reservations. There's another picture of the painted cave, some more Chumash dancers, the dolphin dancers. Where is that article? I think I lost it. But you can find it, and I'm standing up here spinning my wheels. Have a look. I believe it is called the Chumash. There it is right there, High Rollers. Let me click on it for you. I might have mentioned this in a separate video. I'm going to right click on it, open it up. Right click on it, open it up again. Hopefully it'll give, there we go. So here is an article written by some crazy old Indian PhD dude who knows a whole lot about, because he was raised with them, and tells the story asked by this organization called ABC-Clio, American Indian Music Experience, American Mosaic. The question was asked, do reservations impede the social mobility of Native Americans? The anthropologist wanted this crazy Indian guy to answer the question in an essay form, and that's what's going on here. Anyway, have a look at that at your leisure. This is an extra credit article, by the way. But keep in mind that there is going to be more and more literature about or coming from the Chumash people themselves. It's another reason why I'm throwing this at you. We've got a kid's book by my old classmate, Monique Snoke here. We've got the poem by Anonymous. I believe his name is Riles Nelson. Si puedes. And some other fun stuff. So have a look at this when you can. Thank you again so much for your patience. It's time for me to put all this stuff away and get ready for the long trip to Bismarck, North Dakota. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Stop.